In a world that often tells us to color inside the lines, one man dared to draw a whole new picture. He was a boy who couldn't sit still, a student the system wrote off as a failure. He struggled to read, battled with numbers, and was told he would either end up in prison or become a millionaire. This is the story of that boy, a story of how dyslexia and a rebellious spirit didn't become his prison, but the very keys that unlocked a global empire. This is the journey of Richard Branson, a dreamer who turned his perceived weaknesses into his greatest strengths, proving that sometimes the ones who think differently are the ones who change the world. His life is a testament not just to building a business, but to building a life on your own terms, a life of adventure, purpose, and relentless belief in the impossible. Born in London in 1950, Richard Branson's early life was far from a fairy tale of privilege and academic prowess. He was raised in a loving, supportive, middle-class family, but the world of traditional education felt like a foreign language. He grappled with severe dyslexia and what would later be understood as ADHD, conditions that made the structured classroom environment a daily battle. While other kids were seeing their exams, Richard was staring out the window, his mind buzzing with ideas that couldn't be contained by textbooks or timetables. He was labeled as lazy, unintelligent, even disruptive. His headmaster famously delivered a stark prophecy on his last day of school that he would either wind up in jail or become a millionaire. This wasn't just a casual remark. It was a reflection of the chaotic, brilliant, and untamable energy that defined him. But where others saw a problem, Branson was unknowingly honing his greatest asset, a mind that refused to be boxed in. Instead of succumbing to the narrative of failure that was being written for him, he chose to write his own. He discovered that his passion wasn't in consuming information, but in creating something new, in connecting with people, and in challenging the status quo. This restless energy, this inability to follow the conventional path, became the very engine of his entrepreneurial spirit. This fire for creation ignited early. At the tender age of 16, while his peers were worrying about homework and school dances, Richard Branson embarked on his first real business venture. He dropped out of school and with a few friends started a magazine called Student Asterisk. This wasn't just a high school paper. It was an ambitious publication aimed at giving a voice to the youth culture of the 1960s, tackling serious social and political issues head-on. It was a baptism by fire in the world of entrepreneurship, hustling for advertisers, coordinating contributors, and navigating the complexities of distribution. The magazine itself was a modest success, but the experience was transformative. It taught him the fundamentals of building something from nothing, the power of a strong brand, and the importance of connecting with an audience on a deeper level. This initial taste of creating a community and a culture around a product laid the groundwork for his next, far more audacious move. The experience with Student Asterisk magazine naturally led him to the heart of youth culture, music. In 1970, sensing a gap in the market for a more relaxed and alternative record shopping experience, he opened a small mail-order record business. This soon evolved into a physical store on London's Oxford Street. But Branson's vision was always bigger. He saw an industry dominated by corporate giants who were often out of touch with emerging artists. In 1972, he took a monumental leap of faith and co-founded his own record label, giving it a name that cheekily reflected their inexperience in the business: Virgin Records. The label's breakthrough came from taking a chance on an unconventional artist, Mike Oldfield, whose instrumental album Tubular Bells became a global phenomenon. But it was Virgin's decision to sign the notorious and controversial punk rock band, the Sex Pistols, that truly cemented its identity. At a time when every other label had dropped them for being too provocative, Branson embraced their rebellious spirit. This move was pure Branson, risky, audacious, and a middle finger to the establishment. It sent a clear message to the world that Virgin was not just a record label. It was a cultural force, a home for artists who dared to be different. Virgin Records became a powerhouse in the music industry, and the Virgin brand became synonymous with innovation, disruption, and a healthy dose of rock and roll attitude. With the phenomenal success of Virgin Records, Richard Branson could have comfortably rested on his laurels as a music mogul, but his restless, adventurous spirit wouldn't allow it. For him, the Virgin brand was never just about one industry. It was a philosophy, a way of doing business that could be applied to any field ripe for a shake-up. He began to look at the world around him not as a collection of separate industries, but as a series of customer experiences that were broken, stuffy, and desperately in need of the virgin touch. His gaze soon turned to the skies. Frustrated by a terrible personal travel experience, he saw an opportunity in the airline industry, an arena dominated by legacy carriers known for their rigid policies and lackluster service. In 1984, in a move that industry experts called commercial suicide, he launched Virgin Atlantic Airways. With just one leased Boeing 747, he went head-to-head with giants like British Airways. Branson's strategy was simple, but revolutionary. Focus relentlessly on the customer. Virgin Atlantic introduced innovations that are now commonplace but were groundbreaking at the time, like individual seatback, entertainment premium economy cabins, and a fun, friendly service culture that made flying feel less like a chore and more like an experience. Through savvy marketing and an unwavering commitment to making air travel exciting again, Virgin Atlantic not only survived, but thrived, winning over the hearts and minds of travelers and solidifying the Virgin Group's reputation as a fearless challenger brand. The sky was not the limit for Branson's ambition. Having conquered music and aviation, he turned his disruptive energy toward the telecommunications sector. I saw a market dominated by confusing contracts, hidden fees, and abysmal customer service. He believed that mobile phone service could be simpler, more transparent, and more user-friendly. With the launch of Virgin Mobile, he introduced a paradigm shift in the industry. The company pioneered the concept of prepaid no-contract plans, empowering customers and giving them a level of flexibility they had never experienced before. This focus on straightforward pricing and exceptional customer care resonated deeply with consumers who were tired of being locked into long-term, restrictive agreements. Virgin Mobile became a massive success globally, proving once again that the Virgin formula identify a frustrated customer base and offer them a better, fairer alternative could triumph in almost any industry. Yet among all his ventures, one project stands as the ultimate embodiment of Richard Branson's audacious spirit and lifelong fascination with exploration. Virgin Galactic, this is not just a business. It is the culmination of a childhood dream to travel to space. While government agencies had held a monopoly on space travel for decades, Branson envisioned a future where the final frontier was accessible not just to a select few astronauts, but to ordinary citizens. He founded Virgin Galactic, the world's first commercial spaceline, with the bold mission of making private space tourism a reality. This venture is perhaps his most daring, pushing the boundaries of technology, engineering, and human imagination. It is a project fraught with immense risk and incredible challenges, but it perfectly encapsulates the Branson ethos: to dream big, to embrace the impossible, and to pioneer new worlds of experience. Virgin Galactic represents more than just a business opportunity. It is a quest to inspire a new generation of explorers and to fundamentally change humanity's relationship with the cosmos. Beyond the boardroom and the balance sheets, Richard Branson has cultivated a life that is as bold and unconventional as his business ventures. He is a man who truly lives his brand. He is not a distant Sutantai CEO barricaded in an ivory tower. He is the adventurer-in-chief, a figurehead whose personal exploits are as famous as his corporate successes. His life is a highlight reel of thrilling adventures, a constant search for the next challenge. He has crossed the Atlantic and the Pacific in a hot air balloon, kite-surfed across the English Channel, and explored the deepest parts of the ocean in a personal submarine. This insatiable appetite for adventure is not just for show. It's a core part of who he is, a belief that life should be lived to the fullest, with passion and a willingness to embrace risk. This philosophy permeates the entire Virgin culture, encouraging employees and customers alike to challenge their own limits. This same passion extends to his deep-seated commitment to making the world a better place. Branson is a prominent philanthropist who leverages his wealth and influence to tackle some of the globe's most pressing issues. He founded Virgin Unite, the nonprofit foundation of the Virgin Group, which acts as a catalyst for social and environmental change. Rather than simply writing checks, Virgin Unite works to incubate new ideas and bring together leaders to collaborate on solutions for everything from global warming and conflict resolution to public health and education. Branson has been a vocal advocate for climate action, has championed LGBTQ+ rights, and has called for reforms in the global war on drugs. He believes that business cannot be a bystander in society. It must be a force for good. For him, success is not just measured in profits, but in the positive impact one has on the planet and its people. Throughout his incredible journey, Richard Branson has remained a passionate advocate for the entrepreneurial spirit, especially among the youth. He often shares his own story of struggle and triumph, not to boast, but to inspire. He speaks openly about his dyslexia, framing it not as a disability, but as a different way of thinking that gave him an edge. He encourages young, aspiring entrepreneurs to view failure not as an endpoint, but as a vital part of the learning process. His famous mantra, "Screw it. Let's do it," has become a rallying cry for anyone with a bold idea and the courage to pursue it. He constantly reminds people that you do not need a fancy degree or a perfect business plan to start something. You need passion, resilience, and an unwavering belief in your vision. He urges them to challenge conventions, to question why things are the way they are, and to have the audacity to believe they can do it better. From a boy who struggled to read to a global icon who is building rockets to the stars, Richard Branson's life is a powerful and moving lesson. It's a lesson in the incredible power of resilience, the magic of thinking differently, and the limitless potential that lies within each of us when we dare to pursue our passions. He took the labels the world gave him: dyslexic, dreamer, dropout, and transformed them into a badge of honor, building an empire that spans the globe and is now reaching for the heavens. His journey is a vibrant, living testament to the idea that failure is never the final word, that adventure is a mindset, and that a little bit of rebellion can change everything. He has shown us that success isn't about following a pre-written script. It's about having the courage to write your own, to innovate relentlessly, to explore constantly, to create miracles, not in spite of your challenges, but because of them. Richard Branson didn't just become a millionaire. He became an inspiration, a symbol of what is possible when you never, ever give up on your dreams.